Hey, this is Vinny. I'm here with Science of the Times. Howard. He's like Billboard Chris, but an Ottawa version of it. Say hello to Detroit, Howard.
Hi, Detroit.
Yeah. Okay. I hope you guys can hear Howard. And this is one of the longtime people, Dee. She's very, very well educated lady. She's seeing the roots. She concentrates on the roots of the problem in people. She's not off into all these tangents. What's happening? Say hello to Detroit, Dee.
Hello, Detroit. How you doing?
These people in Ottawa, like Charlie Dell showed you, they're good people. Okay, so what's the topic for today? Is this, you're here for what, Howard? For the court
We're
case?
just having our tea and coffee, and we're just chatting about world events and what's happening to this world.
Yeah, it's
What's
good that
happening with humanity and
small groups and discussion are good. Yes, very
so
good.
apathetic at times, not doing anything, not too scared to take responsibility for other people.
What do you think about the educational system in Canada, you guys? You know, the root of the problem is it's been going on for decades, and they're not teaching the kids civics or history
More
anymore.
or less everywhere, yeah. They're graduating people without any practical knowledge or skills.
And everything's right out of Mao's
The playbook.
out of Mao's Little Red Book playbook they've been doing for decades. And so one generation,
Yeah.
Dee said that good a little while ago. So what'd you say about that one generation teaching?
What happened is that people are not making the Canadian public aware of the Marxist takeover that's going on. Karl Marx developed or created the Communist Manifesto, which Agenda 21, when it was created in, I think it was 1947, 1948, was a copy of the Communist Manifesto, if anybody would care to read it and study it.
It closely mirrored it, you're right.
This is, they're twins. The Communist Manifesto and Agenda 21, the original, are actually twins in order to seize assets and lands and do mass control over the population so that we all lose our freedom.
That's the whole goal of Mao's Little Red Book is
That's
to
right.
make you to worship government. That's why they attack religion. That's why they attacked anything
religion,
in history.
They attack everything, right? So
Break down the family.
Yeah, to break down the
breaking
nuclear
the
family.
unit is the first thing, right?
Install
And then
new values that aren't the same values.
degradation of the people and installing new values. It takes 3 generations in order to corrupt the values of any society, right? So you first break the family, you break the education system, government ends up training your children, okay, instead of you. So your children don't get your values anymore. They get government values.
Exactly, and that's exactly what's happening. And during Mao's thing, did you notice everybody, the females dressed asexual? They know that the gay people don't produce children as part of their population. You know, control everything. There's some depopulation, exactly. You know, as part of their agenda. Like
Well,
Mao, he only wanted them to have boy children for a while, and you know, the communists still done. And socialism is just like Glenn Beck said, and many philosophers said, it's just an intermediary between communism. You know, so you're exactly right. I agree with both you guys on that, and most of the Canadians agree about. They're just stuck on what to do about it. You know.
Well,
So.
and displacement. There's a replacement program going on here in Canada. They don't want people who think for themselves in jobs or in any position where they could attain assets or wealth. They want us all poverty stricken so that we succumb.
It's
to
easier
their
to
will.
control people in controlled environments. Exactly.
That's right. And so what they're doing is they're hiring people who will submit in order to subvert a free society.
Did you used to work for the government?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, not in this lifetime.
Okay. I've been on government committees before and whatnot like that. I used to work for the Navy, if you want to call that the government. But you know,
I've had a lot of interaction with the government, let's put it that way, but I've never worked for them.
Yeah, the same here.
Pleasant.
Yeah.
Speaking of control, China's digital ID social credit score system, which is mass control, mass surveillance in China, they control everything
and they copy those
Citizens do.
Chinese
Well,
systems
it's
here.
happening here as well.
Yeah.
That's what our driver's license was for. That was the beginning of the implementation, right? Once we had our birth certificate, then it ended up we had to get a driver's license, right? So the driver's license would contain the information on our birth certificate, right? And then we had like our SIN number, which contains other information, and our passport now, which contains all information.
Yeah, they're adding more and more
Right, they're
information to
adding
those
more and
documents
more.
too.
But these things are not to make us safe. These things are to subvert everything. You tell me how much fraud was there back in the 60s and 70s when we had paper files, okay? Paper cards in our bank accounts and stuff. There was no fraud like there is today. This is all a scam.
Yeah,
okay?
a lot
this
of
is
it
why
is.
people are getting ripped off and everything. You don't need an ID number in order to move around the planet. You know, you don't need an ID number to.
The original driver's license was a whole different thing back in the early 20s and everything than what they developed into. You're exactly
That's
right.
But guess what? Bank of Canada announced, I believe, last week in Canada that they are instituting a social credit score system.
That's right, and that's what all
So
of
it's
this
like
has
not
been.
a conspiracy. Like
Yeah.
You know, when you
everything
walk
they-
on
There's no conspiracy.
when you
All
walk
of
on
this
Parliament through the King's Gate, those two cameras that are on the thing, the
Yeah.
four-way directional, that is not for security so much as to start getting information for digital ID.
All of this safety stuff was just a lure to get people into
control system.
the controlled system, right? Mass control is what it is, right? So they do it subtly by fear mongering people. Oh, if you don't have this, then somebody can break into your bank account,
Freeze
or they
them.
can do this.
They could freeze.
Or they could use that
But
information.
now, with the Chinese credit score system being implemented across the planet, there are a few countries who are rejecting it, but Canada jumped right on board with it. And so what's happening now is that anytime you do anything, you are monitored. You are monitored, and there is a file on you. So they're going to decide, even if you have a passport,
Information
if
bank,
you're,
bank.
Did you see that
Exactly.
cast? Did you guys see that cast by Glenn Beck where the things he's talking about now? Remember Howard, the Mao's America, that lady that wrote it from China? She's an expatriate. She escaped from communist China.
Yeah.
Everything you're talking about, Dee, is on that cast.
Yeah.
Howard will give it to you.
Anne Rand escaped from Russia
Yeah.
for the same thing, right? People have not read her book, Anthem. Everybody goes over to George Orwell and Aldous Huxley, who are both very important people in our history, right? But Ayn Rand's first book, Anthem, is very, very important.
Yes, it
and
is.
straight to the point, right? She has a number of books that people should be reading. The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged, things like that, right? Books like that.
And they don't teach kids this anymore in school.
They don't. And these are the books that when they first came out were all banned. The governments all over, the U.S., Canada, Europe, were trying to ban all of these
J.J.
books,
McCullough,
right?
you know J.J. McCullough? You know, the young kid J.J. that does all the stuff about Canada. He done something explaining the Canadian iceberg, which was awesome. That video right there would be a crash course for every kid to learn how the government works. And he tells it right.
Edward Griffin from the U.S. was another person.
Oh,
who
yeah,
came out. He has been talking for years and years.
Do you know that's
about
one of
this
Trudeau's
stuff.
most hated videos? Ask Howard. We have a friend that tells us the certain things about Trudeau. She's very close to Trudeau, and but she don't agree with everything he said. And she let go of the three most hated videos, and we put them up. And one of the people that's speaking in that is Howard will give you the link to it. Edward Griffin.
Griffin?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And he's in there, and he is so right. You know.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but
Okay.
I followed Edward Griffin for many, many years, right? He has a few books out that people should maybe get into.
He's also has some video clips out. He's very good.
Yeah. He used to actually have a website. I think he's retired now. He's like 92 or something like that now, right? But so he sort of has backed up. But one of the things that alternative media needs to begin doing in order to really open up and get people to understand what's happening is to have full discussions about Agenda 21 and the Communist Manifesto. That will readily explain everything to people and what they need to know. And this will open them up to understanding exactly what it is that's happening to them and why there's such confusion in society. One of the planks of the Communist Manifesto is to degrade and confuse society.
Demoralization.
Yep.
Yes, demoralization. It's a form of gaslighting.
Exactly.
Gaslighting a nation, right? Into guilt, into, all kinds
Exactly.
of things. So, yeah.
And Parliament is in Canada is they passed the first reading of the online harms bill C-63.
But the problem, like we said, like we and you was talking about, is you don't elect your senators here in Canada. So what happens? It goes in, it gets
Listen, let
rubber
me finish.
stamped.
This bill is
It's dangerous.
Extremely
very
dangerous.
One of the most dangerous bills ever, even worse than the Emergencies Act that was invoked on the Freedom Convoy. This bill, with an accuser, can anonymously report you, and if tried and found guilty, you can face prison for life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And or plus a $20,000 to $50,000 fine.
And then we get these power speaks up, even on the conservative side, say, with Andrew Lawton and everything, saying it's not so bad in this aspect of it, that aspect of it. They're not looking at the basic truth that it's fallen repugnant to the most fundamental freedom is freedom of speech. They're not dealing with
That's
that.
right.
Regardless of what the tangents of it are, it doesn't matter. Just them putting that there,
But
they should be pulled by the hair right out of Parliament.
The
Freedom.
whole foundation of our freedoms is freedom of speech, right?
Exactly.
And when you eliminate the freedoms of speech for one group, you are eliminating the freedoms of
Speech for all groups. And the left doesn't
right?
see this. Like Hitler, first they came after the communists, and they come after, and then finally they come after you, and there's nobody left, and nobody can do anything about it.
And
Exactly.
speaking about hate, the first person should be arrested for hate speech.
It's Trudeau
Trudeau
himself.
when they pass this bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or charged with it anyway.
Somebody has to intervene, and the people need to get up and understand what's right. That's why I keep pushing that education about the Communist Manifesto and Agenda 21 is people need the education there to understand.
And just word of mouth privately between people like we're doing now is very important. Get together with your neighbors and everything, try and educate them if you know these things, and discuss it.
Well, you can't, and here's the thing, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink.
But sometimes when you push them in and they swallow some, they're going to come back for more.
But one of the issues is that Trudeau's mass immigration campaign was an intentional campaign to bring people here from
to change the voting
countries
demographics.
that had dictatorships or severe poverty, things like that, so that they would not understand the system. And so if you've been starving most of your life, or if you have been told what to do for most of your life, this seems great to you, right? Trudeau's way seems great for you, and this is how he gets.
Especially when you're getting paid for being.
And this is how you destroy a free society.
Yeah, he wanted to change the voter demographics too.
That's right.
By doing
That's what it was all about, right? So you get a country that used to be number one in the world for healthcare and all kinds of services. And here's the other thing, and people don't recognize it, okay? You don't tax people and then say, I'm going to give them money back, okay? That's not how it's done. The reason Canada was great was because Canada invested in its own resources. And the money that they invested in those resources was the money that supported our great country, our health services and everything. It's investment. You don't take taxes and then say, okay, I'm going to tax you, $1,200 a year, but I'm going to give you back $800. That's not the way it goes. When you take the tax from somebody, it's supposed to go into good investments, okay?
And every tax thing should be voted on by the people too.
All of that investment money is supposed to come back, the profit from that investment is supposed to come back to support our infrastructure and all of our services. That's how it's supposed to work.
Not pet projects.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this out now, and maybe I'll do more later because my hand is hurting. I'm crippled here. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in and whatnot. And I'm sure that people understand that in the States is basically for them, you know, to understand what goes on here in Canada, because it's the evil empire to the north and it's coming south to them. Everything that is like a test tube,
Yeah.
you know, and Biden adopts it and it goes south there. You know, and that's what's going on. Okay, Vinny out.